Hey everyone, it's Johnny for Focus Camera, and I had a great opportunity to try out two of Sigma's new lenses, the 35mm 1.2 version 2 art lens and the 135mm F1.4 art lens. I'm going to tell you a little bit about each lens, how both of the lenses complement each other in a real-world scenario, and why both lenses deserve a spot in your kit. Let's start with the 35mm F1.2 DG version 2 art lens. It has a removable pedal type hood with locking mechanism. Manufactured in Japan, the lens features an aperture ring with a dedicated lock switch, a dedicated click switch, along with an automatic manual focus switch and a customizable AFL button. A significantly reduced size, 30% lighter and 20% shorter from its predecessor, and this is due to its floating focusing system, which allows each of the lens groups to move independently from each other, enhancing the optical performance. Additionally, it's equipped with a dual HLA system, which allows for fast and quiet autofocusing. It's very durable and has a dust and splash resistant structure, but that doesn't mean it's waterproof. So keep it away from large amounts of water, because if water gets inside the lens, it's going to cause damage. Moving on to Sigma's 135mm f1.4 art lens. It comes with a supplied lens hood with a button type locking mechanism. It's equipped with an aperture ring lock switch, a click switch, and two customizable AFL buttons. This lens also has a removable Arca Swiss compatible tripod socket. It provides excellent stability in both portrait and landscape orientations and is great for those extended shooting sessions. You also have your dust and splash resistant structure. For those front elements, you have water and oil repellent coating on both lenses, a 105mm filter thread on the 135mm lens, and a 72mm filter thread size on the 35mm lens. What can I say? I like big glass and I cannot lie. That's why I couldn't resist taking both of these lenses out in a real world setting, taking you through a stroll around Times Square in Manhattan, New York. When it comes to this type of street photography setting, these two lenses complement each other perfectly. You have 35mm, which is great for capturing the scenario, the setting of the scene, and then you have your 135mm, which is great for the details. You also have two lenses which are great for portraiture, whether you're up close and personal or you want to lay back and get those shots in the distance, maybe some candid photos and such. When approaching a scene, you typically want to capture the setting to give context to your environment. You can start with the 35mm like I did in this street fair. And as you approach your subject and you get closer, you can get those details you're looking for. However, in this scenario, I didn't need to switch to the 135mm to get those details because I was able to step up and get close to my subject. However, sometimes you might not be able to do that. So in those scenarios, you want to switch to your 135mm to get those detailed shots that you're looking for. For example, the St. Patrick Cathedral, I started with the 35mm lens to show the environment and the setting. Then I switched to the 135mm to capture those details. With the sun reflecting off of a window behind the cathedral, I was able to use this as an opportunity to test out how the lenses performed when it comes to ghosting, flaring, and chromatic aberrations. Here with the 35mm, there is no flare ghosting or chromatic aberration from afar, but if we zoom in to 500%, which is ridiculously close, we can see a very minimal chromatic aberration pointing directly at the sun's reflection on the architecture. Really well done by Sigma. With the 135mm, we have a flare, which I actually like here. However, if I put the lens hood on, which I did not have on me, I think it would have gotten rid of the flare completely. And there is no chromatic aberration, even when we zoom into 500%, pointing directly at the sun's reflection. Sigma, in general, does a phenomenal job with ghosting and flaring, reducing it, and giving you no chromatic aberration. Kudos to them for just staying on top of it and constantly giving us optimal performance. Both lenses showcase an excellent job when it came to the autofocus performance. As you can see here with the 135mm lens, focusing on a street sign and pole in the foreground, and then the signage from the 34th Street and all the lights in the background, just going from the background to the foreground to the background to see how quickly that autofocus grabs. And it just did a great job with that, as well as a really outstanding job when it came to focus breathing. And same for the 35mm. You can see me focusing on the foreground to the background and just how quickly it grabs. And there's so much going on in this scene, so for it to grab exactly what I was pointing at and focusing it quickly and minimizing the focusing breathing is just a tremendous job by Sigma. The next thing I wanted to look at was how the bokeh is for both of these lenses. So I have my model here, Zorion, helping us out, and we had him just pose as I took a photo and tried to blur out the background so you can get an idea of what it would be like shooting wide open on both the 135 and the 35. I also wanted you all to see the difference of compression between a 35mm lens and a 135mm lens. So we have this shot here of Zorion again, and we have the background being MSG, and you could see the difference between shooting on a 35mm lens and how far MSG looks from Zorion compared to the 135mm lens, where MSG looks much closer to him, and we were at the same distance from each lens. So it just gives you a little bit of an idea of what kind of compression you're gonna get when shooting in a 35mm versus a 135mm. When taking a photo walk, I also just wanted to give you some ideas. You know, you wanna look for patterns and you wanna look for themes. So, for example, you could take a look at these red awnings on this Cartier building, or these water towers I noticed all around the city, creating a little series using the 135 to capture the water towers in the distance, and just have a little fun when you're out there. Look for abstractions, get some candid shots of some people. Another fun activity I like to do is pick a color, and then I look for that color the whole time on that photo walk, and I just try to take pictures of, like, say, everything that I see that's red that comes out to me. So it could be a red door, a fire hydrant, you know, these awnings, and then put it together and you get these little series, you get these themes going. That's what I try to do on a photo walk, and I always have a fun time doing that. So just giving you some inspiration. Thank you for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe, like, comment below what type of things you like to photograph on a photo walk, and also which lens you prefer. Is it the 35mm or do you like 135mm? Do you like getting close to your subjects? Do you like keeping your distance? If you like both, like me, I strongly suggest getting these two focal lengths and these two lenses in the same kit together, because you will not be disappointed. So thanks again, and I'll see you next time. Take care.